Hello, my name is Creed, and like all good servants of the Imperium, I'm here to tell you about Darktide. Darktide is Left 4 Dead, but if Left 4 Dead was actually fantasy battles against demons, but also... And Brian Blessed, could I call you in for this one? Oh, I can? Oh, wonderful. In space! Darktide takes place on the planet of Atoma Prime, focusing on the hive city of Tertium. Now, when you hear hive city, think to yourself about a couple of billion people living in total and abject misery, crammed into a single city. And that city is thousands and thousands and thousands of layers of buildings built one on top of the other by tens of thousands of years worth of human effort. And of course, the lowest depths of these cities have long since passed from any and all official records and are full of mutants, monsters, ghoulies and things that go bump in the night. And that is where you're gonna go. Oh shit. Why are you gonna go to the depths of the hive to fight monsters, mutants, ghoulies and things that go bump in the night? Because, just like every world in the 41st millennium that ever gets a mention, it's a vital part of the Imperium, and if we were to lose it, the whole Mobian sector might fall to the pustulant predations of the Plague Father's potent poxes. And why should we care about the Mobian sector? Because just like every other sector that ever gets a mention in Warhammer, the Mobius sector is vital to the survival of the Imperium. Look, there's Cadia, which I will die mad about. But what's Cadia? Where's the Mobius sector? Who's the Imperium? What's a 41st millennium? I hear you ask. Well, this is a game review. If you wanted to hear about lore, you could have watched any of the 40,000 videos of monotone basement dwellers reading a Lexicanum wiki page at you. You're not here for lore. You're here to find out if you should spend 32.99 of His Majesty's finest pounds sterling, that's 39.99 US dollary dues, on this game. The short answer is that if you like first-person shooters, slashers, and PvE co-ops, yeah, it's a good game. It's worth the money. I'll see you in the next video, I guess. What's that? That's not a review. That's a very short recommendation. Fine. There's three things in a game: what you do, what you see, and what you hear. In other words, gameplay and mechanics, visuals, and audio. Now, there's a lot of stuff I'm sure you're expecting me to talk about. There's 4 classes, hordes of poxwalkers, special enemies, lots of weapons, and don't worry, we will get to all of that. But first, I want to let you in on a little secret. You might think that Darktide is a PvE co-op first-person shooter / melee Left 4 Dead clone set in the 41st millennium. But actually, Darktide is a rhythm game wearing Left 4 Dead's skin and painted to look like a Warhammer game. Hold on, hear me out. In terms of what you're actually doing with your fingers in Melee, which is probably 75% of the game, the core gameplay loop looks a hell of a lot like this. The only addition is you have to hit the spacebar and left click in rhythm as well as WASD. And instead of a series of symbols flying up the screen to tell you what buttons to press, those symbols have been reskinned to look like monsters and placed in a three-dimensional environment. That is a bit of a stretch, and I'm sure if you ask literally anyone else, the devs, other players, your nan, they'd all say it's not a rhythm game. But it is a game where you have to mash specific keys at specific times in reaction to audio and visual cues, while accounting for the flow of your particular melee weapon's attack pattern. And since the melee combat makes up probably about 75% of the gameplay, it does mean that the core gameplay loop of Darktide, rather like a rhythm game, leads to a certain sense of satisfaction when you perfectly execute your way through a horde, throwing enemies to the floor, completing all your attack change, comboing light and heavy attacks, dodging this way and that. It's just, it's really good. Which of course means that in Darktide, it feels good when you're doing well. And since it's a 4-person co-op, when you're doing terribly, you can just blame your useless teammates. And this is what we call a winning combo in game design.
I am down and beset!
We will come back to this rhythm game comparison later, but for now, let's circle back to all that guff I mentioned earlier about, like classes in a co-op shooter, or some other things, I don't know. I've heard that's relevant to gameplay. I'm going to assume you don't know about Left 4 Dead or the Tide series, so here's the rundown. You and three buddies run around a very big map. In the map are basic enemies. In Darktide, you got poxwalkers, scabs, and dregs. Sometimes they're lurking around in 1 or 2s. Sometimes there are more. But there are also special enemies spawned by the AI director who can make things more difficult by throwing these special enemies into your path. And these special enemies will do a variety of things to make your life hell. For example, you've got the trapper who traps you, the sniper who snipes you, the shotgunner who shotguns you, and well, you get the idea. These guys all have very descriptive names. When you come across one in the game, someone's going to yell out, "There's a trapper!" And then you think, oh, it's about to trap me. It's pretty simple, you'll pick it up in no time. Honest. So, you and your three buddies run around the map, killing things, fixing machines, and trying not to die. Teamwork is key. Stay close to your buddies. You all buff each other when you're nearby, and if you wander off, the AI director will start spawning enemies around you to punish your foolish sense of safety. Classes. Remember when I mentioned those? Darktide has 4 archetypes, and each archetype has 1 class at release. The first word is the archetype, the second is a class. There's the veteran sharpshooter. These guys get the fancy guns, wall hacks, and they basically exist to kill special enemies at range. There's the zealot preacher. These guys get the fancy melee weapons, a charge move that makes your next melee attack uber strong, and they pretty much just exist to kill enemy specials up close. Oh, and they also get a flamethrower, because nothing says medieval religious ignorance quite like burning the heretic. The psychokinetic gets to blow people up with the power of using more than 10% of their brain. They also get a magic wind blast, and they pretty much exist as some sort of squishy generalist with fancy powers. They can horde clear, they can kill special enemies, they just sort of do a bit of everything.
Big is best, and the Ogrins is the biggest. What are you looking at, you zogging git? These lads are big, these lads is fighty.
Ogrins get the big boy weapons, like big club.
Yes!
Big shotgun. And grenade launcher. Now, the Ogre may look like the tank class, but your extra health bar means bugger all in Darktide. When you tank as an Ogre, you're not soaking up damage like you would as a tank in most other games. You tank by drawing aggro away from the rest of your team, so they have a bit of breathing room in the middle of a horde. And the Ogren's kit is pretty much designed for clearing out hordes. You get lots of knockdown damage on all your weapons, and your special ability is a charge move that knocks down everything in your path. And then your friends can pick through all the downed enemies, cutting their heads off and serving the Emperor faithfully and loyally. How do we know Darktide is a well-designed game? Because the best team comp is having one of each class. They all have different advantages that help cover for their different weaknesses, and good team play and cooperation is rewarded while disunity is punished, which you sort of need for a good co-op game. There's a lot of weapons in Darktide. There are pew-pew sticks that shoot bullets, pew-pew sticks that shoot lasers, and pew-pew sticks that shoot rocket-propelled grenades.
Headhunting. Get it sharping attention and I will. Say that a beautiful sight.
Yeah, that doesn't really get old at all. There's also a wide variety of bashy sticks. Bashy sticks with edges. Bashy sticks with chainsaws. And bashy sticks in the shape of a Vietnam era thumper. Now, there's too many pew-pew sticks, bash sticks, and wizard staffs to go through them all. But as a blanket rule, I'm yet to try a new weapon and think, man, this sucks. Except for the Krieg las gun, because man does that thing suck. But other than the Krieg las gun, all the weapons are fantastic. Each weapon feels unique and offers the player a new way to approach the game. Between the visuals, the enemy ragdolling, and the fantastic sound design, these weapons can make you feel like a god. What's a game without a sandbox to play it in? Darktide's maps are varied and oozing detail. Exploration is rewarded. It's always worth searching a backroom in the hope you'll find an ammo box, crafting materials, or some mission-specific pickups. The maps offer a mixture of claustrophobic corridors and stairways, where an ambush can knock your whole team out if you're not careful, alongside more open areas that give you room to move, but have more space to be filled with a horde of enemies. The long and the short of it is, Darktide has some really tight core gameplay. A fun melee system, which lets you get into a proper rhythm, guns that feel satisfying to shoot, balanced co-op interactions, varied special abilities, class composition, fantastic maps, and with the AI director, 6 levels of difficulty, special mission rules like Endless Horde mode or Blackout mode, and a gigantic list of weapons to choose from, no 2 runs will ever feel the same. Let's talk about visuals. I mean, need I say more? Just look at the detail poured into a meaningless side room. If this was something like a squad, there'd just be 4 plain walls, maybe a door frame. You know what? You have eyes. You've been looking at this video so far. I don't think we really need to delve any further into this subject. The game looks fantastic. Now, maybe this isn't like coming through in super high definition on YouTube, but I can assure you it's visually stunning. Good visuals, good maps, 10 out of 10. When it comes to Darktide's audio design, it's pretty phenomenal. Take, for example, the music. The guns.
Nice headshot. Like for that.
The melee. The enemies.
All that goes.
The sound design is fantastic, and there's no other word for it. The voice lines are pretty good too. Good voice actors, well written, witty banter, as they say. Down at the pub, man, cracking banter, man. Or, alternatively, hop into Darktide, you'll get a bit of cracking banter too, but with less vomiting.
You don't think I'm creepy, do you?
I think thou art best tolerated at a distance.
Remember way back when I said that the special enemies all have very descriptive names, and it would be easy to work out what they do? Yeah, well, the Inquisition disagrees. That's not a hound, it's an Alpha Sigma 33. Because that's the sort of easy to understand acronym you want in the middle of a firefight. But of course, this is Darktide, and they are self-aware about it.
Traxxas! Something! Take it out!
Let's face it, the game sounds pretty good.
One in the eye!
So, what have we got? We've got a co-op PvE melee shooter with interesting team dynamics, an engaging cool gameplay loop, and endless replayability. This is all then wrapped up in a visually stunning and auditorially exquisite grimdark package that perfectly captures the feel of a hive city ravaged by the forces of chaos. I have enjoyed the pre-order beta massively, and unless you hate anything first person, I cannot recommend this highly enough. There are a few criticisms though. This game needs hover over tooltips. For example, right, what the hell is unyielding? 10% damage to unyielding enemies, so I should be targeting the unyielding enemies, but what is an unyielding enemy? The game ain't gonna tell you. You're gonna have to go look at the old PC Gamer Hell Particles. I mean, you know, it's a great game and all, but it seems a little... And what is a close range kill? Because this is a shotgun, right? It doesn't have a melee option. Its special attack is like a sort of overcharged horizontal shell. So what is a... all caps, so this means something. So you're immune to range attacks for 0.5 seconds on close range kill. What is a close range kill? Now, from context clues, i.e. the words, we can probably tell that means killing someone who's near you. But does that mean they're right in your face, or is that like within 10 meters? The game ain't gonna tell you. The game ain't gonna tell you. You're gonna have to go look that up for yourself. Also, there is the occasional stuttering, and the loading screens do take quite a long time sometimes. But these are pretty minor issues that can be fixed, and the connectivity of the game has already improved just over the course of the pre-order beta. So if you want to condense the video down, go buy Darktide.
Plague ogre in the stench! Another soul delivered unto judgment!